The struggles continue for Liverpool indeed. A 3-2 loss away at the G-Tech to Brentford. Now 4 straight losses in the Premier League. The last time they won a game was the Merseyside derby back in September. All right, let's get straight into it, shall we? And let's welcome in our Don Hutchison to look back on this one. But Don, I'm going to ignore that smile on your face because we are very concerned here in studio. It's been a while since I've seen Stevie Nicol this stressed, this red. Stevie, I'm surprised you've been mustering up a smile. You
got a smile, ain't you?
Even Ale looked at me and said, let's just leave him, let's just leave him. But Stevie, what's going wrong now? How do you explain what we just saw?
I'll be honest with you, I'm absolutely shell-shocked. And I'm not shell-shocked because Liverpool lost a game, because you can always lose a game. But it's the manner in which Liverpool are losing games. You know, we talked about how it was going to be a matter of time for everybody to settle in and get to know each other. It was a matter of time when they would actually start playing their football. Well, it seems to, we've gone past that. Now, there's a huge problem. There's a real problem, because there is absolutely nothing, again, about this Liverpool performance that would suggest that it's going to get any better. Again, the back line was a complete shambles. Again, the changes that were made. Szoboszlai ends up going from midfield back to right back again. You take the left back, Kerkez off. You're shuffling about the middle of the park. We're getting nothing from the front players. I mean, this is just game after game after game. The same things, the same mistakes, the same changes that don't make any difference whatsoever. And if I'm shell-shocked, I'm sure Arne's shell-shocked, because he'll be sitting thinking, what do I do that I haven't done? And I don't think that there's anything else he can do that he hasn't already done. You know, yes, the coach takes the blame when the side's losing, it's not playing well. We always point towards the coach. He's the leader. He's the guy that has to sort it out. He's the guy that has to figure out how to put the pieces of the puzzle together in order to make it work. Well, he's not doing that. Not this season. It's not happening for him whatsoever. But I do have to say that a huge part of the problem has to be down to the players as individuals. Because with the talent they have on the field, the players 100% are not doing themselves justice or Arne Slot any justice at all. And again, the worrying thing is, it does not look like it's changing anytime soon.
Don, are you just as shell-shocked as Stevie?
I am, and I'm like Stevie. I'm very reluctant to sort of put all the blame on the manager's door. But what I will do is, I would love to know from Arne Slot why he took Florian Wirtz off for Joe Gomez when he needed a couple of goals late on in the game. Now, that's a manager that's just searching. He's struggling. Also, if you go back a couple of weeks, the Chelsea game where Liverpool lost that game late on, they were poor in the game. And then I saw nothing from that performance in the Chelsea game from the starting 11 that told me that exact same starting 11 should start against Man United. I don't know what he's seen in the Chelsea game to think, well, that was a good performance. They played really well. I'm going to go with the same 11. So I'm starting to look a little bit to Arne Slot to try and get this team out of trouble. Now, when you go back onto the players are weak. You know, I'm looking at the Liverpool players in fullback areas, and they're losing duels, they're not doing the basics. The template's now been set, I think, from Crystal Palace a few weeks ago when Liverpool should have been 5-0 down at half-time. That was the team I more or less expected Arne Slot to play tonight. I would have probably preferred to see Andy Robertson off the back of the Eintracht game to start, but that's picking hairs. Kirk has scored, so he'll get a bit of confidence from that. But the template was set when Crystal Palace walloped Liverpool a few weeks ago. It should have been 5-0 up at half-time. Everyone now, including Brentford today, has showed how to beat Liverpool. You make them don't do the basics. They can't win any fight balls. Apart from Szoboszlai, who was Liverpool's best player by a mile today, no one really had any fight in them. Every time a ball got flipped over the top, Liverpool were in trouble. Konate seems to have gone backwards. There's a whole load of problems when you look at the last couple of weeks for Arne Slot to try and figure out. And as Stevie said, it's perplexing because on paper, they're a good side, but they're not producing and they've got no fight about them whatsoever.
Ale, you were nodding your head when Stevie said the fact that for the last couple of weeks, we've kind of just been chalking down Liverpool's problems to, look, they have a couple new faces, it needs time to gel. But now it's looking like this is a real concern that time is not going to fix.
Yeah, and I think if you break this game down into phases of the match, and you go to the initial part of the match, and Liverpool once again allow an early goal. So whatever momentum you had from the match against Eintracht Frankfurt, now that momentum disappears because you're chasing once again. What was interesting to see in that early part of the game is that Brentford had a decision to make. Is usually because you fear and respect Liverpool, you take a step back and you become conservative. If you're Brentford, you go on the counter when you can, and you try to see the game out that way. But because Liverpool could not sustain that pressure on top of Brentford, were not creating many opportunities themselves, Brentford kind of took an advantage of that and realized, you know what? If we keep the ball, if we turn Liverpool around, if we get on the attack, actually, we're the ones that are going to create chances at home. So that element of fear and respect of Liverpool, I think, is disappearing game by game by game, to the point to where later in the first half, instead of being Liverpool chasing to go and try to tie the game up, it was actually Brentford that looked more likely to score a second, which they did. Here's the second phase of the match that actually I think is even more concerning for Liverpool. They get a goal out of all people, Curtis. You're thinking, if indeed you're Liverpool, if indeed you're the defending champion, if indeed you're the team that we think you are, that come the second half, here we go, Liverpool, all over Brentford.
The late show again.
And, well, it didn't even need to be the late show.
Yeah.
What we saw is no show at all.
Yeah.
10 minutes in, we're having the discussion, Stevie and I, as we're watching the game. Liverpool haven't even attacked Brentford. It's all been Brentford looking like they're going to score a third goal. It's looking like Brentford like they're going to score a fourth goal. They scored the third, should have scored a fourth on an open header. And that, I think, takes me to the third phase of the match if you're Liverpool. That, again, becomes even more concerning. There's no juice in this team right now. There is no special sauce. You look at the behavior of Brentford when they blocked the shot from Mohamed Salah and the sliding challenge of Van den Beek, as well as Collins, and they clear the ball, clear the danger, and they're all celebrating and sort of kind of supporting each other and giving each other high five, and they're excited to be around each other. Virgil van Dijk could not be less excited to be playing alongside Curtis.
Yeah.
And you see it every time that Curtis plays a ball back, Van Dijk is like, you got to be kidding me. And that, I think, tells you the difference between a team in Brentford that today felt like they had juice, like they had the special sauce, and Liverpool, no chance. They have no juice. They have no special sauce. You put those three faces together, that's where you have the struggles that we saw today again.
And you know, that's why I'm a little forgiving of Arne Slot, because when you don't see that start to the second half that we expect, if you're Arne Slot, you've got to make changes. You know, there wasn't a player on the field in the second half who was doing anything different pretty much to what they did in the first half. Liverpool had possession in the first half, but just couldn't break them down, never looked like breaking them down. But again, we thought start the second half, they'll come out and they'll start controlling and pushing Brentford back. But it just never materialised. And so if you're Arne Slot, you've got no choice but to make changes, because there's nobody on the field telling you that I need to stay here or I'm going to do anything. And so part of that chaos is forced upon Arne Slot. He's forced to make all these changes. And at the end of the game, when they lose and they lose the way they did, it looks like a schoolboy team that, you know, just get him on, pull him there, you go there, you go there. Slobozlai played in 3 different spots today in one game, again. But Arne Slot's got no choice, because nobody is performing for him at all, apart from maybe Slobozlai and the goalkeeper. The rest just are not at the races at all.
It's very damning to hear you say that. Of course, when Liverpool are looking for that spark, looking for something special in this game, you say you're looking around and there's nobody in there that's really putting up their hand. And this is a team that has Mo Salah.
The penalty sums up what Liverpool are right now. You've got your so-called leader, your so-called best defender in the world, who's given a penalty away on the edge of the box on a ball where he's so late trying to clear it, and he's trying to kick it. I mean, it's such a horrible piece of defending from a guy who we know can be so good. But it's like a disease. It's spreading around the whole team, other than the two guys I said. Szoboszlai and the goalkeeper, Mamardashvili.
And to that point of Virgil van Dijk, if you're going to be raising your arms every time that you're unhappy with Kirkes, you cannot give up the penalty in the manner that you did.
Yeah.
Right? You can't point the finger over there and then not be doing your job over here. Yeah. And that's when I think this team is in real trouble, because it was Virgil van Dijk that told us, no, well, we had a players-only meeting. We cleared the air. We told ourselves the things that we needed to tell ourselves. And so you want to see evidence of that. You want to see momentum to build from what was an impressive performance away against Eintracht Frankfurt. You think, well, we turned the corner, and then you give up a goal 4 minutes in. So, yeah, house of cards right now, Liverpool. This whole idea that you've turned the corner, that you're building momentum, it was always going to be about this game against Brentford, and they came up short.
Don, what do you think about what the guys are saying, especially the fact that Ale said that Liverpool, one of the most damning things is that they've lost that fear factor, which is absolutely bonkers to think, considering these are the current reigning Premier League champions. They have players like Mo Salah, they have players like Virgil van Dijk as well, but everyone is looking at them now going, we can have a go.
Yeah, but the boys are correct. Their eyes don't lie, Alexis. I mean, like, the players are underperforming, but they're not even battling to try and get themselves out of trouble. Sometimes when you lose the amount of games and confidence gets deflated, sometimes what you've got to do is you've got to go back to basics and you say, right, well, let's dig in today. The worst case scenario, we get a 0-0 against Brentford and we feel as though we're hard to beat and you have control in the game. The boys are right. I mean, especially when you look back at the Man United game last week, where at least Liverpool showed chaos. At least Liverpool could have scored 5 or 6 or 7 because so many attacking players were on show. When they needed chaos today, it was Brentford that should have scored more goals. They were the ones that were taking the game to Liverpool. Now, the Liverpool players now, you know, they've got to react. They've got Crystal Palace again midweek in the Cup. Then they play Aston Villa at home, and then they play Real Madrid. So they're sitting in 6th spot at the moment in the Premier League, and it could get worse. They could go down to 7th or 8th after the teams behind them play tomorrow. So Arne Slot will be scratching his head tonight thinking, what on earth has gone wrong from the end of last season to what's happened now? And Liverpool don't need chaos. Arne Slot doesn't want chaos. He wants control in the game. Because they haven't got it, if you haven't got control in the game, the only way you can potentially win a game or lose a game is having chaos. And that's what we saw in the first half a dozen games at the start of the season. They won by late goals because of chaos. They won games by the odd goal. Now that's come back to bite them because now they're losing, apart from today, late goals. So he's in now a world of trouble on a slot. He'll figure it out because he's got good players. But they need to show some reaction. They need to start doing the basics right. They need to roll their sleeves up and really prove to the Liverpool fans and the manager, right, listen, I've got to go back to basics. I might have to simplify my game, and it's not going to be 11v11. It's going to be man on man, and I'm just going to dominate my opponent. And that's all I can do in the short term to try and get some sort of results and get Liverpool where they should be. At the moment, you're looking at a team now, Alexis, where you're thinking, is this team going to qualify for Champions League? The answer is no. They look way off at the moment.
Wow. Stevie, what do you do about the Salah situation? Because I feel like up until he scored the goal, you were ready to drop him for the next game. But you did say when you score a goal like that, the manager's almost obliged to put him back in the 11, also considering who he is.
Well, the reason why I said you almost feel as though he has to play is that goals make a difference to players. You know, it changes their mindset. And the fact that he's gotten a goal will change his mindset from doom and gloom to, right, I've broken the ice, now I can go forward and keep scoring goals. And so, do you really turn around and not play him? And again, another reason why you play him is because, quite frankly, there isn't anybody knocking on the door saying, you can't leave me out for Salah. So the fact that he scored a goal, I think, means he has to play. Had he not, had he finished this game like he has since the start of the season, then absolutely you, I think, would be within your rights to turn around and say, oh, I think you need to sit down for a couple of games and figure things out. But the fact he's got that goal, I think you have to play him.
The problem is, Stevie, is that you can have that same conversation about 10 players on the field for Liverpool. You can have that same conversation of, He's barely hanging on. He's barely hanging on. That guy, I don't know if he should play. Kerkez is afraid. And you're looking around and going, well, how many players can we actually change and keep a structure, which is another concern for Liverpool. There is no structure to this team. To Stevie's point about the second half, the difference between Liverpool today and a Sunday League team in terms of structure is none.
Wow.
No, think of it. Who was playing in the middle of the park for this team in the second half that you could actually say, well, this is what they're trying to do, and this is how they're approaching the match, and this is how they're looking to break down Brentford? There was no clarity there. It's just guys kind of floating in and out of space because you're trusting them to be good enough players to figure out what position they can take in order to be dangerous. But you know what happens when they lose the ball? Nobody takes responsibility defensively. Nobody's tracking back. Nobody knows their starting positions or their reset positions defensively. And so therefore, Brentford can just play right through them or play a ball that breaks everybody down as they did at the end of the first half. I'm not making this up. This is actually, you can visibly observe this and look at a team that has no organization whatsoever.
Well, Don brought up an interesting point, Stevie, that I just want to show you and come to you on it, and that's Liverpool's upcoming games. As he mentioned, they have to play Crystal Palace, and we know how Crystal Palace have been getting the better of them. Villa, then Real Madrid, as well as Manchester City. Which one of these does Liverpool win, if any?
See, here's the thing, Alexis. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter whether Liverpool are playing Crystal Palace, Real Madrid, or Grimsby Town.
Oh,
right now,
had to throw that in my face.
Right now, it's about the next game, the next first 10 minutes, the next thing everybody does. It really doesn't matter who Liverpool are up against right now, unless it's Eintracht Frankfurt. and the last time I looked, they're still playing in the Bundesliga.
Yes, they are.
And they're not in the Carabao Cup.
Nope.
So right now, for Arne Slot, it's about the next block of 10 or 15 minutes to try and figure this team out. And what Ali was, the point about Salah, Ali's talking about there are so many people in the same position. That's another reason why you play Salah, because Arne Slot is sitting trying to figure out, how do I get 9 different guys? How do I find the spark to get them going? Well, Mo Salah's just solved that one for you because he's got the goal. So now you've got to look at the other 8. I mean, problem after problem, but yeah, doesn't matter who they play. It's the next block of 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, to start building. And I said it last week, you have to start at the back. You've got to start at the back. You've got to have a strong foundation. Don't be giving goals away. As long as you don't lose any goals, with the talent you have, you think eventually it's going to start working, like it did the first 5 games of the season. Because that's the only reason they won the games, because the talent they've got, actually, somebody stepped up, somebody stepped up, somebody stepped up. But if you keep throwing the ball in the back of your own net, then you're putting even more pressure on the forward guys who are struggling as we speak. So, yeah, it's a whole lot of problems and not very many answers right now.
Are you tired of talking about Liverpool yet? Do you want us to move on? Because I feel
Not
like
to
the
Man
more
United.
we go,
Can we
the
leave Man
redder
United
he
up?
gets.